and welcome to the Seated Podcast with Furniture Row. I'm Jessa, creative director and design extraordinaire.
And I'm Barb, interior designer and buyer.
Hello, everyone, and
Hi.
Welcome back to this cozy little set. We've been having so much fun with these interior design conversations. Got another good one today. Before we get too into it, though,
good.
I know
so good.
it's cozy.
Yeah.
As we edge nearer to fall. Just let's get cozy in our mind. But yeah, before we get too into it, I want to ask you what all of these photos have in common. We're looking at the apartment from You've Got Mail, the cottage from in the Cotswolds from the movie The Holiday, the Shire from Lord of the Rings, and the house from Studio Gilby's Kiki's Delivery Service.
These are all places I would like to live. That's what's in common here. No, It's a cottage. They're all like little cottages.
Yeah,
They're
I think
adorable.
I teased it because, I mean, that house from The Holiday is textbook cottage. It's not even a house. You can't call it a house. It's a cottage.
It's a little cottage.
Yeah.
Just want to have your tea and cozy up by the fire.
Yeah.
With a blanket.
Yeah. There's so many movies and shows where cottage makes an appearance because it makes people feel comfortable and want to spend time there, whether you're watching it on screen or you're living in it. It's very aspirational. So yeah, if you haven't guessed, today we're talking about cottagecore. But what is core? Like, why core?
You know what?
Why is core added to everything?
It is. It's like we add core to every new trend. Yeah. Although I feel like cottage is not anything new.
Yeah.
It's just taking, a front and centered approach now. Like it's really becoming popular again. But yeah, we add core to every design aesthetic out there.
I feel like it started in the 80s when we were talking about hardcore, like punk rock music, but then it just it got added to so many things from there, like just all the different trends. And now it's describing niche internet aesthetics, like cottagecore, goblin core, core, and a lot of them.
core.
Yeah, I don't even know what core is.
Who can keep up?
So
Seriously.
I don't know. It's like, what is core? You go to an orchard.
Yeah.
Like apples, apple core. I feel like core would be related to I don't know.
Yeah, apple core.
Picking apples.
You're not supposed to eat the seeds from the apple core, by the way.
Arsenic.
Yeah.
Yeah. No good. Don't just sit there snacking on apple seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that cottagecore has been more popular lately. Why do you think so? What is it? What's special about cottagecore right now?
Just my opinion. I think it lends or gives a sense of calm and safe and, just a super cozy vibe. Because it's crazy out in the world. It seems like it's just hustling and bustling out there. Yeah. So it's just a place to come home to and just feel so cozy.
It's like a deep breath.
Yeah.
It just makes me relaxed. It's a reaction to hustle culture, I feel like, because we're just getting so much information and just like there's so many to-dos right now. And the priority, especially in our culture in the US, is very just like productivity and getting things done.
Yeah.
And we're humans and we need to relax, and so it's romanticizing, especially countrysides of Europe. Like you'll hear English cottage or French countryside cottage a lot, because it just cultures and places that are a little bit more relaxed in romanticizing growing your own produce and flowers and crafting and baking, just all of those things just make us feel a little bit more relaxed and centered. And I think, that's just human nature. We evolved that way to be gathering fruits and berries, and we want to do it again.
Hunters and gatherers.
Yeah. We want to gather again. We want to hunt again. We want to craft again.
Just drink hot tea.
And drink hot tea.
By the fire. Even in the summer.
Get back to our little roots of
I don't really have a teacup today. I should have brought one. I just have my little hydro flask.
Teacups, hydro flask, whatever makes you cozy. For me, it's my antique teacups. But, what is a cottage?
A cottage is just a small little dwelling. Just a cute little small dwelling.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have a little definition. Maybe you could read that.
Yeah. I think it's usually in a rural setting. Let me look. But it's usually in a rural setting and it's small. Those are the two things I remember. Cozy.
But it doesn't have to be, right?
It's typically in a rural setting and used as a vacation home. So I think it's small and somewhere relaxing. I think the other thing about cottagecore is romanticizing small spaces because, and maybe that's why it's so popular right now because real estate's so expensive. So people are just excited about the small space and just really making it cute and a cool little beautiful thing to have.
But you know what? There are a lot of people that have these larger homes, like builders gone wild. Giant homes. And, we can't leave them out either because it's like, how do they make their home feel like a cottage, even though, the square footage is larger or the rooms are bigger? And there's ways to do it.
Right. Is it just in the rooms and the interiors, or does the exterior have to play into it?
I mean, for a true cottage, the outside would definitely want to feel like a cottage. But a lot of people live in builder grade homes or builder style homes that do not look like cottage from the outside. So there are things, that they could do to make it feel more cottage, because they may not be in a rural setting and they may not have a vacation home that's a cottage. So it's like, how do you help them achieve that look in their own home?
Yeah. I think whether it's one of those big houses or a tiny home even, it's about bringing the cottage vibe into the space by, maybe landscaping with florals, maybe warming up the kitchen with some open shelving that includes jars of some of the things that you usually have in your pantry.
Like flour.
Or dried beans or
sugar, brown sugar.
Yeah. I have garlic that I grew displayed on my open shelving, displaying the things that you use to be crafty in the kitchen or that you made, and a mortar and pestle or a cake stand and the things
or a cutting board or I have this big giant wood. I don't even know if it's a cutting board, but it's this vintage piece I found years ago. Yeah. And it has a handle on it. And I just have that leaning up against my tile in my kitchen. Yeah. On the counter. And it kind of feels cottagey.
Right. So a tiny home could be a cottage or a builder grade house could be a cottage.
It's all in how you decorate it.
It's defining cottagecore would be embracing imperfections and charming clutter and creating a whimsical aesthetic that has a cozy lived-in feel. So you could really do that in any space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's look back at the interior of that cottage from The Holiday, if we can bring that up.
This.
Yeah. So there's just so many little antique elements. And it's just romanticized, whimsical, just simple, getting back to a little bit more of a slow lifestyle and making things yourself.
Thrifting items.
Yeah. Things that have history.
Yeah.
And things that just, you look at it and you know that there's a story, or it is a tool that you use all the time to create, you know, your great dinners or breakfasts, or, you know, like my mortar and pestle, however you pronounce that, it's to make pesto, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love this room. There's so many little details that are, you know, that you could take from this and be inspired by for your own home. If you do not like clutter or creative clutter, like this is creatively cluttered to me.
Yeah.
Then you could take elements out of it without, you know, having all of those pieces in your kitchen or room that you're designing.
Exactly. You can still have a clean look that incorporates the cottagecore vibe, because it's just about bringing cozy elements in. So we're looking at a room right now that has shelves full of antique plates and bowls and lamps and lots of layering.
And terracotta pots.
Yeah. And like, I really like how they brought in the kitchen cart, but
but that's like new, but it looks good in there.
Yeah, it works with the antiques. It's about weaving in all of the antique items and thrifted items with newer items and making it work together. So like some rooms can be really layered and full of items, but you know, another house could have a really simple, clean look, but then have these focal pieces that are really comforting and storied.
Yeah, and not everybody's going to have a fireplace in their kitchen, but they may say, you know what, I have all this antique or old platters and dishes. So, but I don't have shelves. Like, what could I do to create that feel? You could always hang them on the wall, make a collage and like layer them on the wall. There's all sorts of hangers that you can use for plates and servingware that would be gorgeous on a wall.
For sure.
The other thing I love about this is that little lamp that's up there.
Yeah.
So have you seen the Bookcase lamps now that like Target has them? And it's just like this little lamp that you just slide into your bookcase.
Wow.
And plug in. It's adorable.
So they're little enough to fit between the shelves, and it just like adds a little layer of lighting and
exactly.
draws attention to itself.
So you could use that even, on your kitchen countertop. Or, if you're like, I don't want cords everywhere. This is going to sound controversial, but if you have an old lamp that you want to use, cut the cord off, use one of those little battery light bulbs or remote control light bulbs that you can buy on Amazon. And there you go. You have a cute little lamp on your counter.
Because I'm always wondering, like, what if I want to put a lamp somewhere where there's not a light, like an electrical socket,
right? Or you don't want that cord.
Yeah, I don't want cords all over the place. Yeah, so
easily done.
Just like an LED battery powered light is such a good idea.
Yeah, my dog got a hold of, I had this cute little, well, I still have it. It's a little lamp. I think it's from Ralph Lauren. It's blue and white.
Yeah.
Just like all that blue and white we saw in the picture, the blue willow. Anyway, my dog chewed the cord off.
Yeah.
So now I'm just going to use a battery powered light bulb, and it'll probably go in my kitchen somewhere.
Well, and that's also very in the theme of cottagecore and the spirit of cottagecore, because it's crafty.
Yeah.
And it's just that, old world, rich experience, crafty thing. It's putting your hands on things, and really like things in your house are touched and they're
patinaed.
And
is that the right word? Patina.
And you had an influence on them, or somebody did. They're very storied, and I like that part. So a lot of people are wondering, how can they incorporate family heirlooms or thrifted finds into their cottagecore design? And I think you touched on it a little with the lamps on the, shelves, but just what are other ways?
And if they have, new things in their home, how do they bring that feel into their home? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's a good question. It just depends on which room you're thinking of adding something in. So, for example, if you inherited a lot of old quilts, quilts are beautiful. How would you display those? You could use them on the wall. You could hang them on a quilt hanger on your wall as a piece of art. You could fold them and layer them over the back of a sofa at the end of a bed. That would be one thing. If it's, say, those little old icebox pieces that used to be, they were way back in the day, but I've seen those used as like an end table or an entry piece.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you can always add
into a modern aesthetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
For example, my stepmom really wants to be trendy with her, like as they're updating their house, her and my dad. And they want to be creating something that has a lasting look and feel, but they have a china cabinet from her mom that she wants to hold on to if she can. So she's trying to work that into her aesthetic that is going to be timeless and modern. But it's like,
what kind of china cabinet? Like, what does it look like? Can you describe?
Just brown accents, like the frame is brown wood. Older, not like super dark. I would say it's a mid-tone brown wood. Does it have
the glass on the front?
And it has the glass and filled in the frame. And
is it one of the two pieces? Like it has a base and then the top part is the glass with the china in there?
I think that it's just one piece, but it's got really pretty antique legs that are wood, and it has the china in there from her family, family heirloom china. And so she wants to incorporate that into not like a modern, but just a dining room design of today.
Well, if she wants it in the dining room, that's one thing. Okay. So I don't know what the rest of her space looks like.
Right.
The other thing I would say is look at the piece as it's a cabinet.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to have china in it. Now, if she wants her china in it, that's one thing. But, a piece like that, if you have the space, it could go into a bathroom. It could go at the end of the hallway. If it's in a bathroom, you could put towels and apothecary things and, just make it into more like the spa little experience. I don't know if anybody has the room for that in their bathroom. They might. Or in a hallway upstairs at the end of a hallway on an open, wall area where you can store other things in it. Right. It doesn't just have to be for china.
So you could mix in modern items that you're using today with the china, even potentially, and you don't even have to say it had to stay in the dining room. You could do that. You can mix in more modern accents with the older china, and that would modernize the dining room look. But you could also take a china cabinet, which would typically always be in a dining room, and bring it into another room and give it a whole new life. So it's kind of like that contrast and making sure that every piece kind of speaks to each other.
Yeah. And sometimes too, when you have an old piece, an antique piece in a very modern space, just because it's so different from everything else, it makes it interesting and it somehow seems to work.
Yeah.
Not always, but a lot of times it will.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Well, and one of my favorite spaces that I think does this well is this little coffee shop called Devil's Food.
I know. And I love this little place.
It's always been just my safe space. I've got photos of it on our little screen if you're watching. But basically, it's a coffee shop in a modern neighborhood that is just very cozy. And I mean, in the surroundings, there's a lot of craftsman houses. This is 2025, but it doesn't mean that everything has to be like clean and sleek. Like modern doesn't need to be bare,
No,
and maybe the better way to describe it is it's got contemporary antique charm, but they've brought a lot of antiques into the space. And I think it's so popular because people walk in and they feel relaxed because there's a story there.
It's very homey.
It's very homey. I think bringing storied items gives a sense of home to a space. So they have, you know, what kind of ceiling tile would you call that?
That is a tin ceiling tile. And so in this space, I'm sure they've added that because, you know, it is more, I don't know how old the space is, but I bet they've added that along with the trim and the wallpaper. But it definitely is a cozy vibe. And the other thing that's cool about it, this kind of just takes it a little bit differently, but I didn't know about Devil's Food until you told me about it. And so, of course, I had to go. But the coffee, it works with the vibe too. Yeah. There's nothing worse than to go in a space like this and then it not, you know, you have a bad coffee or a tea or something it was delicious.
Yeah.
So it was just like
everything was on point. And it's served
everything was
in like antique cups sometimes. Like if I order tea, there's a modern loose leaf tea steeper, but then it's like the plate and antique. The cup that comes with it is antique.
Yeah, I love it.
So it keeps you in the vibe. And, you know, all the cards that you can shop for, whether it's a birthday card or, you know, welcome baby card or what have you, are stored in these little file cabinets that are wooden and they have labels on them for each like type of card that is in each drawer.
And I like how they turn the little handles. Yeah. Normally it'd go the other way, but they're like, hey, why not this way?
Yeah. Why not be unique?
Yeah.
They wallpapered each panel of the wall with just it's checkered, but what kind of checkering would you call
that? A plaid. A simple plaid.
Yeah.
There's
red
so
and
many
white.
Different surfaces or finishes on these surfaces in this space with the shiplap to the wallpaper to the beadboard. I mean, it's really an interesting space for sure.
And that's another thing about bringing together a cozy space is mixing textures.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot for your eye to travel around to and feel comfortable everywhere it lands.
Yeah.
And they bring in, I think part of what is making it modern as well is the incorporation of natural light, like the ceiling window. What is that called? Sunlight?
It's a little skylight.
Skylight. I always forget the name for those. Yeah. So I just think they do a really good job of bringing you into a cozy environment by referencing history-filled pieces and antiques, but within modern times, just giving you a little taste of the past without, you know, neglecting where we are today. And
it is like the perfect little spot. Now everybody knows about it. So now you're not going to be able to get a seat in there.
Yeah. Well, I just want more places like this to exist.
Yes, I do too.
And to take inspiration from this space though. But I mean, I think one of the other things that makes spaces with antiques and storied pieces so cozy is the element, and this is going to be hard to pronounce, of Hygge. It really draws on the Scandinavian aspect. It's spelled Hygge, and it means coziness in every season, or it's a theory of coziness in every season. So really bringing in things into your space that really speak individually to you and make you feel comforted based on nostalgia or your routine, and making your routine easier, or the things that you love, bringing that into your space and maybe changing things out in different seasons to just make every season feel cozy. Because a lot of times people really attribute coziness to the
fall and
winter, but you could do that you could be cozy in spring and summer by leaning into things that relate to those seasons and
Sure.
what you remember of those seasons positively from growing up. Like, you know, I love daffodils in the spring, so making sure those are a part of things. I love gardening in the summer, so making sure the things that I picked, I have a place to put them, that I can appreciate everything I picked.
Yeah. Like a bowl full of fruit out on your counter, or a vase filled with your daffodils.
Exactly. And fresh flowers are so great, again, because they can really be very seasonal that way, especially if you're shopping at places that have seasonal flowers. So what would you say is the difference between cottagecore and farmhouse, for example?
I feel like modern farmhouse is a little more clean and simple. This is going to sound controversial, so I don't mean it to be, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but I'm sure it will. I feel like modern farmhouse is a simple, like, easy way to decorate. And cottagecore or cottage style is... it's almost like a style that you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're always looking at little thrift shops. You're looking for interesting things with a history, things with a patina. Whereas modern farmhouse is, I just feel like it's just so, it's everywhere and it's an easier way to decorate. That's just my opinion.
Right.
I could be wrong.
It's an aesthetic that is modern but has some personality. It was like the first step away from when, like, millennial gray, when we were trying to add a little bit more personality into things.
Yes.
And cottagecore is a way of life. You are cottage to your core, you know, and I relate to that. I am cottage to my core.
Yeah.
Because I'm, you know, out in my backyard with bare feet, watering my garden every morning and picking whatever's fresh, and, you know, displaying my dried beans on my open shelving, and picking my garlic and displaying that up there. But farmhouse is more just a way to bring that feeling of warmth of a rural place and some personality into a very clean space.
Yeah.
It's an aesthetic.
Also, though, I know there's a lot of people that love the cottage look, but they don't, you know how to get that look. And we can help with that. But,
For sure.
you know, cottage, I feel, also came from the whole shabby chic movement that was many years ago. But that was like, you know, florals and whites and slip covers and, you know, but I feel like cottage came from that as well.
Yeah. Shabby chic was a lot more specific. And I think it was a lot more feminine.
Very, very girly.
Whereas cottagecore can be exemplified in a lot of different ways. And yeah, I think you're right about that. Like, it had to be a lot more specific, the shabby chic. With the pieces you brought in. So what are some of the main furniture pieces or key furniture pieces that you'd bring in to achieve the cottagecore look?
Well, there are so many. Did we want to show our slide up here?
Yeah.
So as far as, you know, things you can easily purchase at Furniture Row, this bed, I think, looks it can go so many different ways, but I think it can definitely go cottagecore with the tufted headboard, the curves on it. It's kind of like a little chair, but it's, you know, made into a bed. So definitely a look like this with that bed, the little nightstand. I love the turn legs. They look like little rolling pins, the marble top to it. goes very cottagey. And, this lamp is great. It's blue. It's like a little pottery piece, but it's not super cottagecore, but you could definitely use that in a space that's cottagecore.
The color scheme is cottagecore.
Yeah, this is one
nice,
color.
relaxing blue. And what I'm seeing about, or in a lot of these bedroom pieces that you're showing, is like the woods are not super polished. They're very raw, and you can see the natural texture
definitely.
of the woods. And
like you can actually feel it.
Yeah, and the fabrics are very, textural and immersive, like a pillow back headboard or button tufted. That's the word I was looking for. Button tufting is very visually, like you can picture what it feels like.
Yeah, sure.
And so things that are tactile and true to their real material and not overly finished, and also like relaxing colors.
Yeah. Well, so there's different types of cottage styles, and it could be that you want to go all maximal, like the picture from, the kitchen. That's one way of doing cottage. You can also do a little bit simpler way. It doesn't have to be creative clutter. It could be something more simple like this with
serenity.
So it just depends on how far you want to take cottage in your house. Do you want to go all the way like the kitchen showed, or do you want to just keep things a little bit more simple? You can do bright and airy, or you can do rich, warm, darker colors too. These examples are more bright and airy.
Yeah. So those are great examples for, really any room, but right now you're showing a bedroom. What would you do in a living room?
Well, and the reason I was showing this bedroom is this bed is so awesome in person. When you see it, it's just stunning. But, we were talking cozy, so it'd be nice to have like this cozy bed that you can, have in your house.
You can see yourself sinking into and like
exactly.
leaning up against the headboard and being really comfortable.
Yeah. So the next slide, I think, are these little benches. So I would say buy a bench. If you're going to do anything cottagecore in your house, please buy a bench, because this is a great way to have a little extra place to sit or a welcoming area in your home. It just depends on where you're going to put it. Is it going in a kitchen? Is it going in a dining room, an entrance, a mud room, at the end of a bed? But a little bench, nothing says cottage like a cute little bench.
Well, again, it's a piece to accent what you need in your everyday life.
Yeah.
It's
a
and
useful
make you comfortable with your routine. So giving you that space to sit down and put on your shoes. So you're not like trying to sit on your coffee table, which you can, but it's like a welcoming space to actually support your routine.
Exactly. And I love the ones, that little Seward bench with the basket. Well, there's two of them, but the single seat with the large basket, I just think that is too
wicker
cute.
is one of the most common materials that can make you really feel cottagey or cozy. It's very rural.
Well, it's
and
warm and it's textural and
it's like a basket that you would use to collect produce from your yard. That's what it makes me think of. And then some of the benches you've included here are very nostalgic of other spaces, like that Seward entry bench that you were just showing. It could be like a choir bench or, like a pew.
It could
almost
be. The other thing I like about, and I'll just keep talking about this little Seward bench, is, if you have a little nook somewhere, that could also be a great spot for that, with a little table so you could sit and drink your tea at your little Seward bench.
Like if you don't want to build in a window seat into your house, but you want a window seat.
Well, imagine say you have a little space in your house, it's a little alcove. You could even do two of those facing each other with a little table in the middle.
It could be a conversation spot.
So it doesn't have to just be for the entryway. but it could be.
You could have a coffee shop corner in your kitchen.
Exactly. And people are doing that. They're recreating these little cottage or coffee experiences like devil's food.
Yeah.
They're doing that in their home. So yeah, these little pieces would be great for it.
Yeah. One of the reasons I like coffee shops so much is they give me design inspiration.
Yeah.
They make me feel cozy with the yummy drinks and sometimes the baked goods, but they also have these it's a smaller space that can really just wow you with design.
Absolutely. Yeah. The that little willow way bench, the blue one.
Yeah.
I love this little bench too because it could be for an entrance again, but you could also put it with your dining set or just anywhere where you want an extra little space in your living room in front of across from a fireplace. That would be great with little pillows on it. So yeah.
Well, and a lot of the bases I'm seeing in the furniture that you're selecting for main cottage pieces they have a lot of design elements in the wood. So like they're turned legs or
the rubbed finish on the paint or distressing.
And it really goes back to, how people are always talking about houses aren't built like this anymore because they have these extra little design finishes that modern day builders just don't include because it's like
it's too expensive.
It's too expensive. Yeah. It's eating into their margins. It's not practical, but it's, what those little extra design finishes do is add to your experience in the space that you live. And so really
it adds a little bit of warmth and nostalgia and old.
Right. And so bringing in furniture pieces that have some of the turn leg elements, if you don't have a lot of, building features in your home that are nostalgic, like
find the piece in a furniture.
You can find the piece in a furniture.
Yeah. And some people, do not want to buy and repurposed or used furniture. Some people just don't. I love it. If I like the piece, I don't care where it comes from.
Right.
But some people are like, nope, I want it to be brand new. So this is a way to buy something new that looks old for your home.
Yeah. And I really agree with that. I think that there are some situations that I like buying thrifted pieces, like my guide would say, or like if I were to make a thrifting guide, I would say, anything made of wood is great or metal or any, like chairs, dining table, side tables. Yes. I'm great with all that stuff. We'll pick it up on the corner of a curb or from the local thrift store or antique store. But anything fabric, I'm buying it new.
And I used to think that too with fabric. So I understand what you're saying, but here's what I would say is I saw a piece in Boulder the other day. I don't even remember what it was, but it was in Boulder and it was like the sofa with wood trim on it. It was so beautiful, but of course I did not have anything to take it away with.
Right.
But I would say if you love the piece, take it to an upholsterer. They can strip all the old fabric, all the stuffing, all of that away and redo the whole thing. Now, it'll cost you a lot of money, but if the piece is interesting enough, it can be redone.
Yeah, and that'll last forever because it's built well.
Yeah, but I'm with you as far as like, I wouldn't just buy a piece of furniture like a sofa and not recover it. Like I wouldn't bring that into my home. I'm more like
bed
the
bugs.
wood. Yeah. So I would strip it down.
My biggest fear. Yeah. You could get any sort of infestation.
But then I've bought old rugs, like we talked about before. Them. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
on my driveway.
Yeah, as long with your shovel and your
my
hose.
Snow shovel.
Yeah. I think as long as things can be cleaned. Yeah. I remember when we were at the thrift shop and I bought that necklace that was like beads tied together with fabric, and I was like,
clean it?
That's going to be gross. And you're like, oh, you could just soak that in alcohol and water mixture, and I was
just
like,
Dawn detergent.
Okay.
Or soap detergent.
So I did that and now I wear it all the time.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Fabrics can be used. What would you say for like a dining room cottagecore? What would be the biggest elements if we were to look at? Can we bring up that visual?
Oh, yeah. So this one is just a small space dining room. I love a round table because it's so cozy and it I think it just promotes like conversation.
Me
because
too.
No one's like looking down a rectangle table or a square table.
Yeah,
it's
like,
all,
hi, Jim. Sorry we didn't get to sit next to each other.
Yeah. But, so I pulled this one. I really love the base on it, the little metal base. Again, it feels old. It feels like you found it somewhere, but it's actually brand new. And then those little chairs are like this green paint color that's just really pretty.
The meadow lakes. Mm-hmm. And is that a spindleback?
Well, the ones on the end look a little spindle, but the other ones look like just a slap back.
Yeah.
But the legs, I guess the legs look a little spindly, huh?
But it's so pretty. Just there's so many little design features added into the wood. Yeah. Like a woodworker would have had to make that, for sure.
Or whittled the legs.
Yeah, it's whittled. Again, you know me and whittled things. I love them.
Yeah, but again, this is taking the feel of cottage and, it's light and airy. It's not the darker side or the darker color tones of cottage, but the rug is, and it has all of these colors in that rug.
It's a deep color that grounds the space. But
it really
still
does.
Cottagey.
It's
and
so
it looks
pretty.
Antique.
It does look antique, and it actually has a little fringe at the end, so it gives off that appearance of it being old. And then the little rustic shores, it's not little, it's a 6-door cabinet. That is, this distress painted wood cabinet that you could put anything in. It doesn't even have to go in a dining room. It could go anywhere. It could go in a living room.
Distressing is what makes it cottagey, and it has the glass fronts where you could really see the things that you're displaying in there. So back to the china cabinet example, you could put your family's china in this, and the space that it's in makes it look more modern. And so you're wrapping storied pieces into a timeless space still.
The other thing you could do with this cabinet, well, first of all, did you see the little closing? I don't know what those are called. I should know.
Latches?
But yes, I think so. They're just like these little wood things that keeps the door shut.
They're like wood latches at the top of the door that keep them shut. So it's just visually interesting.
But the other thing you could do with that cabinet, if you wanted it to feel even more cottagey, and if you are the type that wants more layered into your cottage look, is you could put fabric on the inside of the glass and like have it sheared so it looks like, these fabric.
So it's like
cabinets
curtains
inside the cabinet. Yeah.
Like behind the glass?
Behind the glass. Yeah.
You're so creative. That's such a good idea.
It'd be so cute. So you could, find your favorite little print and put in there.
Ooh. Or the other thing you could do is you could put wallpaper on the backing of the cabinet.
Yep.
And then that would just be such a fun backdrop.
It would be. It'd be perfect.
It'd be crafty, and you could be like, I made that, which is also part of coziness, is like having things that you made and you brought into your space. And usually the other note I want to say with cottagecore is it does take a while to build. It's not something that you can just create right away. I think bringing in pieces of furniture that are cottagecore is the easiest way to get that feeling right away. But then collecting the storied pieces and layering in the storied pieces, it does take time usually. And so you do it little by little. And I think you just rearrange as you go. And then your space kind of just transforms over time.
It evolves.
And it will always look good, but it might start a little bit more simplistic than it ends, which is also fine. And I really like the florals in there. You included some paper whites that are faux florals, but
they look, for those that don't have a green thumb.
Right. They look real. And so if you don't have time to go in your backyard and, grow
paper whites,
or pick, cut flowers, you can still have them in your space. And you can still have that aesthetic and the vibe. It's all about the vibe. There's a wasp in here, and that's not very cottage. It's not making me feel very comfortable.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's an element of nature.
Yes, I guess so.
And a rural
It'd be better
aesthetic.
if it were a bee.
Yeah, it would be better if it were a bee. But,
because that means there's little flowers outside.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah. So Kevin's going to try to kill this
Preston's
wasp.
going to kill the wasp.
Or Preston, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, just know in the background we're wasp hunting. So this is full on. We're living cottage right now. We're living the rural lifestyle. There's wildlife in here. Yeah.
As long as there's no snakes. So on the table, I have these little metal and wood tray stands that you could put little, you could put your fruit on them. You
could put charcuterie. Yeah. You could put muffins. You could put a cake.
Yeah.
All your baked things.
Like you could take your old china, like a china plate, and put on top of that and then put your things in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Or on it.
Yeah.
Be really
because
pretty.
Then the china plate would be featured.
Exactly.
And just kind of like how you put this little tray in our set that's like an antique silver tray, but we have, antique china, a teapot and teacup.
Yes.
And creamer.
And sugar
bowls.
I think that's a sugar bowl.
Yeah.
It was just
from my grandma's china cabinet, actually, but it's working into our modern day aesthetic.
Yeah. So you could even do that on top of one of those little tray stands. You could put your teapot there.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. So are there any specific colors and patterns I should look for to bring cottagecore charm into my space?
Well, you can go with the lighter, brighter colors, or you can do the more moody, saturated colors, greens and marigold and burgundies and, darker, richer colors. Or you can go this color palette that's the blues and the greens and the lighter shades of the blues and greens. So
it's really just like what you mix it with and how you speak to the colors you bring in the room. So if you have like a moodier pillow collection, let's say, or a moodier rug, you're going to maybe speak to that in some other, accessory that you put in your china cabinet.
Sure. And some people like more moody colors, the richer, darker colors. Some people like the lighter colors. So I think both can have the cottagecore feel. It just depends on which color palette you want to go with. If you want to go light and bright or darker and moodier colors. These colors, I pulled this bedding to go with the bed that we originally had up there. And this is the lighter color palette. But we're mixing in patterns, and then the scale of the patterns are all different. And then a new take on plaid with that little lumbar pillow. And then the little sheep kidney pillow I just thought was so cute.
Well, it's rural. You know, it says farm a little bit.
I know.
And
so if you can't have a real sheep in your yard because you live in an HOA.
A sheep pillow. Yeah.
You could have a little sheep pillow.
The HOA wouldn't be happy with your pet sheep.
I would love to have like 2 baby doll sheeps. Have you seen them?
So cute.
I know. Real ones.
That would be adorable. That would be very cottage.
I know.
That would be a vibe for sure. But
it would
I mean, these patterns, like what specific patterns would you say lend themselves most to cottagecore?
Definitely plaid. But I love for cottagecore, I love to mix patterns. And cottagecore is all about like pattern mix, scales of patterns, and then, your color palette,
so
of course.
Florals, things that bring in nature a little bit too, and plaid could really ground the cottagecore aesthetic, but mixing and matching patterns of any type.
But not all
really
florals.
cottagey.
It doesn't have to be all florals. I mean, here it's florals mixed with plaid, mixed with, kind of a paisley pattern with a little bit of an ECAT. Maybe that's a little bit of an ECAT pattern. I'm not sure. But, it's all about the pattern mix too.
Yeah. So when you're mixing patterns, you just have to consider the scale of each pattern. So if you have like a small polka dot pattern that's like everything's really tight together, mix that with a plaid. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd put polka dot. Maybe I would if it were like a small, tiny polka dot and cottage, but never thought about that.
But I think, again, you could have things leaning cottage with a pattern mix if you have like a traditional cottage pattern like plaid in the mix of patterns that you're mixing.
Sure.
That was a lot of mixing.
Yeah, a lot of mixing. But I think the scale of pattern is important, like how you mix the scales together, you know, the scale of the pattern. Yeah. That's important as well.
Yeah, totally.
But not everybody likes a lot of pattern mix. So if you're like, well, maybe a little bit of pattern, that's okay. You could do that and make it feel cottagey. You don't have to have a million different patterns. Right. But, you know, do what's comfortable for you. But maybe add a little plaid. Yeah. All the time.
Yep. Yeah. So wrapping it all back together, let's tie it up in a bow. What would you say? Like, let's just define cottagecore.
Comfortable, cozy, what you think home should be is,
which is unique to everybody.
It is unique to everyone, but it's a place of, you know, your little safe zone, your little nest. That's how I would describe.
Romanticizing cottage. A little bit of a rural atmosphere, bringing in family heirlooms, lots of romantic, whimsical items, and just romanticizing a smaller space or romanticizing really any space with nostalgia.
Bringing in, mixing old. You can mix new. If you only want new, look for pieces that feel old, that look old, that have a patina to them, that are crafted,
that have like more of a handmade look. Because then they have a story. So storied pieces with varieties of textures and patterns that make you feel cozy in your space.
Make it super cozy.
Yeah. Yep. So what do you think the next core is going to be?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think the next core should be drop the word core. Just call it a design, you know? Yeah. And I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what it is.
For me, I think it's going to be something playing off of how people are so dynamic now. So they're working a professional job and they have to go into an office, but then their home self as well. Like they have their home life where they have all their crafts or their, you know, social relationships, and just, it's going to be about wrapping in, you know, just a whole person. So if it's going to be, you know, like there's weekend warriors, for example, that, word is thrown around a lot. Somebody who like goes and travels a lot on the weekend, but then during the week they're like a professional. I think like baker core or like craftsman core or something where you're like this office professional person, but then you're also a baker. So like a office baker.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That went.
Yeah. Ooh. What is the next core for me? It's just like, it's a really big question. And I think I went really deep with it, but it's got legs. You're going to see it in some form.
It could have a little sourdough bakery, something, you know, who knows?
Sourdough core.
I think it depends too. Like there's so many different styles out there, and not, you know, cottagecore isn't for everyone. Not everybody likes that feel. There's some people that like more of a traditional, which cottagecore has, you know, nods to traditional too. So I think it just depends on what people like, where they are in their
Absolutely.
life, where they are in the world, you know. So you'll see a lot of new trends that speak to different types of individuals.
But you know what? I think everybody needs a purpose that is creative in their own way. So when I say creative, I don't mean painter. I mean just that allows you to think creatively, whether that's cooking or coding or
Working on a car.
working on a car
all
or
of
building
it.
things. I just think being a craftsman. I mean, we saw that with what are they called? Hipsters. I feel like people that are they're craftsmen in a modern day age.
Are they
There's
really craftsmen though?
They look like craftsmen.
Persons.
Yeah, they look like craftspersons.
Oh goodness.
So it's a new iteration of hipster that incorporates your work self.
Into your home self?
Into your craft self.
Okay.
Is the next core. We could just go off.
We could just make up one.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like we're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Return to work, baker core. Return to work. My brain has exploded. Maybe you're a carpenter. Return carpenter code core. Carpenter keyboard man lady.
I have no idea. I'm completely lost now, but
yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yes, thanks for listening
to all of this nonsense and also helpful information though.
Yeah.
Make sure you're subscribed to Seated wherever you listen to podcasts and comment on this video wherever you're listening. If you have any questions about Cottagecore, if you have any dilemmas, and then, you have a chance to be featured because we'll answer your questions.
Yeah. And especially we'll have at the end of this links to quite a bit of cottagecore styles. So
cottagecore furniture, some of the furniture that we mentioned today
will be on there with a lot more. Yeah.
You're going to have so much information about cottagecore, everything that you need.
Yeah. And if you like the look, start incorporating a little bit of it now in your home because it is such a cozy vibe.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, see you later.